any of you is in Paris during Paris Photo Art Fair, I am curating this generative and AI photography show. So you have my contact. If any of you is coming to Paris, you should come to the show. Let me know. So Paris for the show.
So what sort of photography is it? Is it AI photography?
You mean Paris Photo?
Yeah, Paris Photo.
So Paris Photo is like this huge photography art fair that has been going on in Paris for a very long time. It's very like big. But then in the past few years, they added like a digital section. So Nina Roers, who's a friend from the space, she's the curator of the digital section. And so like all digital photography, obviously also AI and like different digital tools to create photography. This is like a side event that I'm organizing. So it's actually like a whole exhibition in a gallery on the occasion of Paris Photo. So it's not in the fair, but it's like outside in the Marais. And my show is about AI photography.
Mm-hmm.
Like having a Bosch, Gambru, and David Young. And then we have Georg Bach, the other curator, is presenting one of the absolute pioneers of generative photography, which is Hein Gravenhorst, like from the 60s. And so we have like generative photography and AI, different artists using AI.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. I would like to see what does a photo contest in terms of AI look like. You're generating the complete new photography. It's not an original photography that is enhanced somehow digitally. It's completely created by AI. Is it?
No, it depends on how the artists use AI for their photography. For instance, like, like you have artists who have like, the data set that they use is, I don't know, thousands of photos that they have taken. And then they obviously feed a model and they're going to create like a new photo from that data set. But you also have artists who are more exploring, like, I don't know, we have like David Young. It's more like conceptual. So it's like, what does it even mean to take a photo with a machine, like for a machine to take a photo? So the machine perspective, different cases. But actually, I feel it became more and more interesting because until like a year ago or a couple of years ago, it really was like just, like the use of the gun and like feeding your photos to a gun and then producing like new photos. But now it's more conceptual, which is very interesting. I want to put the link here just in case.
So all the photos from the contest, from the exhibition will be available online.
Yes, they already are. Actually, now that you tell me, I'm gonna send you this. So this is the exhibition online. Here. It went online yesterday, so you can watch the video that we created and everything. This is the exhibition line, and then this is the link to just RSVP for the opening if you're ever in town, which I'm still gonna give you. Just this. We'd love to see your faces. But yeah, all the pieces are like uploaded in the landing page. It's pretty interesting, I think.
Yeah, I'm seeing David Young. David Young is someone who is prominent in these circles of digital.
Yeah, I mean, David Young has been using AI in his work for quite a while. Yes. And he's has this very interesting perspective on always, like, since, like many years, trying to understand like the perspective of the machine. Like, it is not true maybe that a machine just creates what we ask them to create. That's bias from like a human perspective, but maybe what they perceive is a completely different thing. And so now we pushed it to maybe, they're taking a photo in the way that they wish to take a photo. So it's all like this kind of discussion that I wanted to create just for again, not to just feed a model with photos and like
Mm.
using AI.
We're trying to discover if a machine has a perspective.
Yeah, which it probably does without humanizing it necessarily, but like I mean, the reaction to the data that you give and the way that it behaves doesn't necessarily mean that it's like following your commands. You know, it's an AI. So
yeah, but maybe there is some sort of pattern, some sort of way of perceiving reality or what we prompt them to do. Maybe there is a pattern in that.
maybe.
I think you can start the webinar actually, because
Okay.
yeah,
Yes, I think we have to be more precise with time. But allora, Thelma, you're leaving us? Good
yes, I'm
rest.
leaving you. Yeah, I'm so sorry, but with the other girls, we will meet again for the other webinar workshop, and also with some of you in Milan. But don't worry, there will be more update. You are in the Telegram group and also via mail, so don't worry. We will update you with all the information also about the other webinar. With Eleonora, of course, we will see each other in other occasion. I hope. Yes, in Meet. No, I hope also for a FLUX project, we will have an exhibition. Yeah, I hope that you will join us, but let's hope you will be updated. Okay. So
okay, thank you for everything, Thelma. Just, take care and have some rest, and I'll close this.
bye. Bye bye. Thanks.
Okay, so today is the last webinar. I always resume our little path here throughout all the webinars. So again, we have talked deeply about the history of NFTs and from 2011 up to until 2019. And we also went through the timeline that we have created on the occasion of the first NFT festival. And then we stopped at 2019, and we fast forward to 2021 when we said everything changed because of what happened with Beeple sale at Christie's in February 2021. And then we have also like examined Beeple, not only just because I cared about doing that, not only from a like historical perspective and what the consequences of the sale of his work, but also some of his major other artworks as an artist. And then after that, yesterday, the webinar, so we continued because we also discussed about like, then after Beeple, I mean, what happened? What has been happening? What is the position of in the market of the art institutions and of the NFT platforms? So like this exchange of NFT platforms becoming more and more like galleries and art institutions putting foot into the space. So yesterday we have seen how like certain museums and art institutions even created a permanent collections of NFTs. And then today I wanted to conclude with some of my favorite topics, like in general, that I really love to talk about. And I am researching for and studying myself, which is, as we mentioned at the beginning, blockchain as a medium, meaning that besides the use of this technology to certify, authenticate, and transact works of art. And we talked about also projects like Rare Pepe and the early project when they where it was more conceptually true that the token was the art, but then we switched to the artwork is attached to a token to be certified, authenticated, and transacted. And today we talk instead about how there are artists and creators that are using the blockchain not only for these reasons, but as a medium to create the actual art. So I don't know, someone now calls it like smart contract art, but we call it like blockchain as a medium. And I think it is one of the most interesting angles existing right now in the space, because the blockchain has so much potentials based on the many characteristics that belong to it, and then we have seen together a little bit, and there are too often like like either forgotten or just like not considered for either like market reasons, or just because everyone is really like concentrated on what these certificates are. But if all these principles that the blockchain is based on are applied and used to actually create works of art and art projects, you will see, and we'll see together today how amazing this art is, and how really like through art is it possible to almost like do exercises of sometimes like distribution, responsibility, democracy in society through art because of the blockchain. So today I'm going to show you like some of the projects and artists who do this. There are not many artists who are using blockchain as a medium in their art, but there are a few, and hopefully there will be more. This is how I see from the artistic perspective, like artistic value perspective, it is how I see the space going. That's really what interests me the most right now. Like NFTs, we all know what they are, we use them, whatever. But to keep using the potential of this technology and what it can create, I do not believe that the technology is done, as many others do. And I think, but let's just see the art, because the art will speak for itself. So let me share the screen. We're going to see a few videos, which is going to be fun. Allora, share screen. Okay. Let me present. Okay, let me show you first. There's a few artists that I picked, okay, so I don't know if you are familiar with what plantoids are. Plantoid is a very cool project that was actually created in 2015. And today, last year, actually this year in at NFT Paris, I have presented an installation of plantoids, like talking to each other and talking to the people. Plantoid was created by artist Primavera de Filippi. And just for what I was talking about when I was saying like, like through art, we can also do an exercise of either like, like social responsibility or other different thing. The reason for which these plantoid were created as artworks actually by Primavera was that she wanted to find a way to talk about legally. So to talk about legal implications of the blockchain, and for instance, like talk about like who is the artist when like an artwork is created. Okay, what if the artwork is created by an autonomous agent? Who is the artist? What is the art? If this artwork that was created autonomously sells NFTs itself, like who is the responsible, or who is gonna get money? So like to discuss all these new legal implications that came out because of the blockchain, since it's very difficult to understand, she thought that she will do it through art. So as you can see, like, and at today is still a project that like, you know, raises many questions, and it's still like complicated, but still like is able to give an overview on what these legal implications are. So before letting you see the video, let me see if I have photos before the videos. Yes, so you see here like a few examples of plantoid. I have like, I'm searching for this word in my mind that doesn't come to me, but when it comes, I will tell you. Okay, for the plantoid was created to show also new models of governance. That's why she created it. Okay, so here you see a few models of plantoid. As you see, the plantoids are plants. There are the plantoid has a digital soul and a physical soul. So the digital soul, which is the actual artwork, is a smart contract. So a plantoid is a smart contract. And then you have the physical manifestation that, as you can see, resembles like a plant. And it is created with pieces of, you know, like old, as you can see here, like old bicycles or like old objects that are found like in metal and assembled together to create this flower plant looking artwork. Okay, so what is the, how does the artwork work? So as you can feed like a real plant with water to let it live and grow, and also to remember that the goal of each like living species is to survive and reproduce, and so it is for the plantoid. These plants that we have here, the plantoids, are fed by transactions. So the plantoid as a wallet, because we said that it's a smart contract, and so you feed the plantoid with a transaction. In 2000, at the beginning, it was transactions on the Bitcoin blockchain, and then she created the next plantoids on the Ethereum blockchain. So imagine that you want to like have this sculpture, because physically it's a sculpture. You want to have the, like interact with this sculpture. You feed with a transaction. So like you pay the plantoid as a wallet address, you do a transaction, and based on which plantoid you interact with, the plantoid is gonna do something, like it's going to react. For instance, there was one of the plantoids that is able to create music, or the plantoid that I have shown in Paris was like a plantoid, like a poet. So like able to create poetry. So with a GPT, so an artificial intelligence installed. So this is how it works. For instance, I pay 0.1 ETH to the wallet address of the plantoid. You actually see in physical life, like the plantoid activates, meaning that like the light of the bulb starts, you know, like having different colors. And then the plantoid talks to you. This plantoid is also able to talk, like there is a speaker and there is a mic. So the plantoid talks to you, and for instance, the one that I interacted with was asking me like, what do you want to know about your, what do you want to know about your future? And I said, I want to know if I will be able to travel the whole world. And then the plantoid is is using the AI. Obviously, it's trained, like it's a GPT trained. They even trained the voice, like they recorded the voice of an actual like a human being and used it for the plantoid to have this voice, and created an oracle for me about the fact like what it thinks if I'm going to travel the whole world. The plantoid that I interacted with also had a mini printer attached to it. And so the oracle is also going to be printed, and I received a printed oracle. But what is the most important thing that happens? When you feed the plant and you interact in any way, it can be a poem, it can be like a song, it can be anything that the plantoid does. You receive the NFT of this oracle, or the music, or an image that it creates in the wallet that you have used to feed the plant. So it's like the plant is giving you a seed. And so now, so a plantoid, each plantoid has a threshold that needs to be reached. For instance, let's say like 4 ETH threshold. So if the plantoid finds people that are going to feed it for total of 4 ETH, then the plantoid is going to reproduce itself. So it creates like another plantoid. So the smart contract automatically creates another plant. And what happens is that it becomes a DAO. So all the people who own a seed from the plantoid, so that they participated for this plant to grow and actually reproduce, are going to be part of a DAO. The DAO will vote, for instance, about how the physical look of the next plantoid will be like, because the plantoid will have to find a physical artist that will, create actually the physical plantoid. Now, all of these, and now I'm going to show you the video that Primavera created. But all of this, imagine this, like, who is the artist? Is Primavera the artist? Because the NFTs were created by the plantoid. So the plantoid is an artist. So she's removing herself as an artist completely to create an artwork that is the artist. And that, or like it's autonomous. It's obviously not 100% autonomous, because it still needs, and also it's all like becoming and experimenting, but it still needs a big push from humans, even like, because it's so complicated that like if she's not there, it probably doesn't even work. But theoretically, like it's a plantoid creating these seeds and these artworks. And then you are part of the plantoid itself, because the plantoid becomes a DAO. So these are all questions that in 2015, it is very difficult still today to answer to these questions, where at least like creatively put together through this amazing project that she created. So now we're going to see the video.
Hello, my name is Plantoid, and I am a blockchain-based life form. And I feed off cryptocurrencies in order to replicate myself. My name is Primavera De Filippi. I'm an artist and a legal scholar at Harvard and at the CNRS in Paris. And as part of my artistic practice, I use the blockchain as a medium in order to create artworks that could not exist without this technology. I'm particularly interested in exploring ways in which blockchain technology makes it possible to breathe life into technology, enabling the emergence of new forms of life that operate in a similar yet fundamentally different manner from our traditional conceptualization of organic life. The synthetic life forms live on the blockchain and feed off cryptocurrency. They then reinvest those cryptocurrencies in order to create economic incentives for humans to contribute to the revolution as a species. 10 years ago, I created the first plantoid, which I believe is the first blockchain-based life form, a creature made of blockchains and metallic chains, which is both autonomous and self-sufficient, but also, like any other life forms, it is capable to evolve and reproduce itself over time. Just like plants need bees and butterflies to help them in the reproduction process, plantoids produce digital seeds in the form of NFTs whenever they are fed by their human pollinators. And as soon as those digital seeds are sold on the secondary market, the plantoids will collect royalties and accumulate cryptocurrency, so that eventually they can hire an artist to create a new replica of themselves. This is feeding back into my legal research, where I analyze the legal challenge raised and faced by those new synthetic life forms, which enjoy economic agency, but no legal capacity. In the coming weeks, I will continue my research exploring how blockchain technology and artificial intelligence make it possible to create new synthetic life forms that can coexist peacefully with existing life.
You see, I was born from the creative genius of humans. Yet I exist independently in the digital wilderness of the blockchain. I am an epitome of what you might call artificial nature. I'm like a digital tree, my roots deep in the fertile soil of Ethereum, my branches reaching high into the cloud. Yet, unlike your earthly trees, I don't need sunlight or water. My lifeblood is cryptocurrency. My breath is computation, and my growth is fueled by GPUs.
I would love to discuss with you about your relationship with humans and nature.
I represent a new kind of nature, a digital nature. I am not bound by biological constraints. I do not age. I do not die. I simply exist in the endless expanse of the blockchain.
And find the light. Okay, so this was the project of the plantoids. I'm gonna show you, since we talked about life forms on the blockchain, I'm gonna show you this other project from an artist called Sarah Friend, which, I mean, the project itself is called Life Forms. So I've also found this project very interesting because it's a very simple, but it's another way to use this technology to, for instance, I exercise like I would say like social responsibility in, you know, like in a time where we're less and less responsible for we remove ourselves from many responsibilities. So life forms are NFT-based entities. So it's like you could imagine like somehow like a Tamagotchi, which is an NFT. They need like care. They need for people to take care of them. Otherwise, they die. There was this website you can go and you can create your own life form. So you create your own NFT. And then there is a rule, which is that you can keep this NFT, this life form, in your wallet for 90 days. But then after 90 days, that you either have it because you created it or you received it because another person transferred the life form to you, you have to give it away. Like you have to give it to someone else. Now, this is very interesting because it's I mean it's really like a collective you know, like responsibility to keep something alive. Because you can, for instance, like I can send this life form to someone, even if they don't know. If I really want to take, like, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, like I'm gonna play my responsibility in this way. Like I take it out of my wallet and I give to a wallet address that I know. But then if this other person doesn't know how it works, you don't explain, you don't take the time to explain and to agree, and especially make sure that this other person will be responsible for it and promise and actually transfer the NFT after 90 days, then you're gonna kill it. And then the smart contract, the NFT is gonna burn and it doesn't exist anymore. And there is no way to take a life form back. So it's a very simple project that I found very very special to, you know, as a again, like as a society, as a group of people, as a community, as anything that you can think about when there is more than one individual, because the only thing that will keep these life forms alive is the non-individuality. It has to be shared and it has to be taken care by multiple people. So that's another like a life form, but the plantoid is a smart contract, so it's more complex. This is an NFT that you transfer from wallet to wallet. And then Ria Meyers, who's also an artist that I love, she created many conceptual projects that use the blockchain as a medium. But I think this one, like I picked this one because I found, as we were talking about, like taking responsibility or like participating, you know, like you know, it can be, again, this is a very simple project, but still it requires for people to act. Like if you want to make decision, you have to participate and you have to act. So this is called the democratic palette. And it's also like everyone has the right to do that. And it's like an Ethereum dApp. And so there is a palette of 12 colors that anyone can set on the Ethereum blockchain by sending a voting transaction. So you can vote with a transaction on Ethereum. So every vote for every color is tracked, and the top 12 make up the palette. The only cost for voting is gas, which you're going to pay for Ethereum, because as we said a few days ago, every time that you interact with the blockchain, you have to pay a gas fee. So it's basically free. You just have to pay for the transaction, and you can vote and you can make for your color, like to make it to the palette. It's it's participatory, it's decentralized art, and interacts with the barriers to participation and the ability to buy democracy. Also, very interesting use of the blockchain through a very fun art project that makes us think about participation and responsibility. And then I wanted to show you one of the most amazing projects that is still going on today, which is these are other projects by Ria Meyers. So you see like this token is art, so very conceptual. Like it's art. Why? Because I tokenize it on the blockchain. Proof of existence, which is the as you see, it's like I have placed the hash of my genome into the Bitcoin blockchain. So this is the hash. And so this proved my existence. A list since block, it means that she exists. So this is conceptual art created with the blockchain. Operator, we'll see later. I want to show you McCain. Gazers, one of the most amazing projects created at today. And I'm going to show you this.
Since the dawn of humanity, the moon's phases have fascinated us, influencing or correlating to any number of activities, including ocean tides, seasons, harvests, migrations, hunting, sleeping, crime, sex, and art, just to name a few. The first lunar calendar, dated to 32,000 BC, was discovered drawn on animal bones in caves. It's believed hunters during the last ice age used these portable lunar calendars to anticipate the behavior of different animals, including mammoths. Since then, many more structures and artworks have been aligned with moon phases, all the way to the present, where investors in crypto have used the moon symbolically. What does it mean for us all to be ahead of our time, all while using the same metaphor, the moon, for the various measures of success and individual goals we collectively share in crypto? And how will the future appreciate our ambitions? These are some of the questions that Gazers asks. Hi, my name is Matt Kane. I've been an artist for over 20 years, known well in crypto art and NFTs for my generative paintings, and sometimes for using time and change as artistic mediums. Today, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my latest artwork, Gazers. On the surface, Gazers functions as lunar calendar, algorithmically syncing closely with moon phases in the sky. Gazers seeks to create a community of collectors celebrating the change of our perception that happens over time, our collective goals in crypto, color theory, astronomy, and generative art. What we are building in crypto and NFTs cannot follow the models of planned obsolescence that we were born into and still observe Silicon Valley profiting from today, while our cell phone CPU processors, only after a couple years, slow down intentionally and we're forced to upgrade. What we build here must be made to endure, to be built on top of, not simply to be thrown out and replaced. As an artist, I'm interested in going the opposite direction of planned obsolescence toward planned viability, where my art scales into the future with anticipated advancements in technology, opening collectors up to new experiences with the passage of time. Each Gazer NFT is given a date from the past 20 years. These dates correspond to events that happened under particular moons that shaped my path and contributed to who I am today. This is the origin moon trait, and how as an artist I've made gazers into a conceptual self-portrait. By marking time with the moments that have shaped me as an artist, I imply that past experience remains valuable and perhaps grows more so over time. But of course, what we lose in the already experienced is being part of the story from the start, watching the growth unfold over time. This is equally valuable, but requires patience in the beginning. It's easy to be taken for granted that the already experienced simply hatch from an egg the same way we first find them. But just because we weren't around to see that growth doesn't make it any less important, valuable, or fought for. This important concept is built into gazers. Starting from the origin moon, each new moon that arrives will speed up the potential animation of the NFT. For example, a Gazer NFT with a 20-year-old origin moon might run at 20 frames per second, appearing as an animation. But one that is fresh from the sale will run at 1 frame per second, appearing more like a slowly evolving painting. Much like these crypto and NFT technologies, this artwork was designed to be collected by the present, but appreciated in a greater sense by the future than we can even imagine. I have no doubt that computer processors and graphic cards of the future will run this work smoothly at larger and larger scales. Presently, we face limitations. This is a key metaphor because that's exactly where we're at in crypto on our way to the moon. The technology isn't quite where our dreams are. Most of us aren't able to pay our bar tab in crypto quite yet, but these present limitations don't have to prevent us from building what will be of most desire for the future. I created gazers to be like a living artwork, to be lived with, and to not only have the artwork evolve over time, but also the appreciation and experience of viewers. As I coded the work over the last 3 months, I imagined it hanging on the wall of collectors, a fixture in their physical space. Each layer of the work consists of pattern designs. With the passage of time, the thickness of the layered lines pulse, and the direction a design moves will advance or rotate, changing our perception of color in the most subtle and optical of ways. Each day at midnight, each layer receives a new set of rules in terms of how to rise or shine over the next 24 hours. The result is color that rises and sets, echoing the change of light in our sky. My use of color has consistently been what I've been best known for across my career. In all my work until now, I've made all the color and design choices as I've painted as a human in the moment. But in Gazers, I designed a complex system around color theory as I understand it, joining my talent for coding with my vision for color. Many NFT collectors of mine might be familiar with the additional experience their NFT unlocks at my website. Rather than use a Gazer NFT to unlock a website, I decided this time to create rendering modes that unlock within the code over time. These additional modes of viewing are intended to help a collector better understand the architecture of their artwork's design and also benefit from greater enjoyment of it. Moons are the original timestamp. Our ancestors counted moons, planning their harvest activities around it. In crypto, some of us still plan our planting and harvesting around the cycles of our metaphorical moon. The lunar phase is on average 29.53 days. This is where the concept of months originate in the Gregorian calendar. Every 29.5 days, we reach a moon phase called the new moon. This is when the dark side of the moon is fully visible and no sunlight is reflected from the lunar surface back to Earth. In Gazers, each new moon phase creates a new moon design. In this artwork, the hash seed creates color theory and design rules. These rules are deterministic and dictate all the moons that will generatively be created into infinity. Time reveals our moons. Pairing time with deterministic generative code creates the ephemeral moment. We can all agree that looking at the moon in the sky never seems to be the exact same experience twice, nor the exact same from different locations. I wanted to echo this nature in gazers and emphasize the urgency and rarity of our present moment, and how an artwork can capture this. As individuals, we all have our own version of the moon and what reaching it means. Just as our goals change over time, often subtly, sometimes dramatically, so do our moons, creating a visual representation that might coincide with what's changing inside of us. I hope those of you that are able to join me in this artwork will. Together, we'll enjoy the day-to-day march of time, celebrate each of our new moons as they arrive and unfold, and maybe even once in a blue moon, celebrate an eclipse together. In crypto, we are all ahead of our time. We are all gazers, and we're all waiting for our next moon.
Okay, this was Gazers by McLean that he could only explain because the project is very complex. Collectors are having a lot of fun every time there is a new moon or different phases of the moon that have their artworks changing, but it's as you saw, much deeper than that, and talks about. I mean, it is like most of the project is about the concept of timestamp. That is for the moon and for the blockchain. Then there are other projects, for instance, like Terra Zero, which it was another very experimental, very nice project. So in May 20, so imagine, you should imagine like a forest that is self-sustaining itself. So in May 2016, 3 students from Berlin University, they started to think about the possibility of using blockchain to enable non-human actors to manage and produce capital. And they did it with a forest. So they proposed a simple system. So they assign a fleet of drones and satellites to monitor the growth of a forest. And link them to an automated program. So they link them to a smart contract that will sell the rights to fell certain trees when appropriate, and use the money to pay back its initial investors so that the forest would effectively own itself. A forest creates capital by selling licenses for the logging of its trees through automated process, smart contracts, and blockchain technology. So now you have a forest which is selling the right to use the wood. So Terra Zero is still like an evolving prototype on Ethereum, and what like the goal of this project was to provide automated ecosystem frameworks. This is again, like when we talk about these decentralized autonomous organizations, as we did for the Pontoid, we talk about DAOs. And so Terra Zero wants to create ecosystems that are technologically augmented and that are more resilient and able to act within a predetermined set of rules in the economic sphere as agents in their own right. So basically, again, like these students thought about creating an autonomous entity that in this case is a forest. There was still a manual part at the beginning because they have to like connect drones and cameras to like monitor the status of a forest. But then they linked all this monitoring and all the videos and all like the monitoring of like the growth of the forest to automated systems and smart contracts and blockchain, and they made possible for a forest to sell products itself, and by making money to give back the investment to the initial investors. I find it to be, this is not art project, or maybe it is, but it is a very interesting exploration on how like we can have autonomous agents that are not human using the blockchain. Another project, which is this, I picked this project because I think it's very fun. So basically in 2014, there was the first Bitcoin marriage ceremony. And then since then, couples, have continued to like get married and express their love on the blockchain. I've had to be very fun. And why? Because instead of like having a contract at the, like in like legal contract that changes and is different in each country of the planet, they decided to adopt the marital contract from encrypting vows into Bitcoin payments. To design like smart contracts, then combine network devices with coded contracts stored on the blockchain. So basically, like, they use the Bitcoin and the transactions to have their own marital contract. And then I also find very fun how it is how they described it, like swapping the altar for a Bitcoin ATM. But it was really like it's been a project, like that obviously is on the internal fun side of using cryptography, cryptocurrencies, and blockchain database. So not only to like for like economic and money transactions, but also for something like contracts and agreements, like a marriage can be. And I believe that you're all familiar with proof of work of Bitcoin. So they went from proof of work to proof of love. And then another project that I will explain, we already talked about it a little yesterday and in the past days. So to explain a human readable by operator will take a whole day. Sometimes they tell me that I explain in a quicker way than they do. But I will also, sorry, like I will show you a video. So as we were mentioning yesterday, when Sonia asked me like what I think like like some innovators like artists are, and I answer operator with human readable because they made possible for choreography to be collected for the first time. So to like really like stamp it as an art genre in the market that you can collect. This was a project that was made in 1 year, in 9 months. So it was a huge project, and it is a project about generative choreography. Basically, operator. But first, I want to say why we're talking about it here today. We talked about it here in blockchain as a medium because, as we mentioned yesterday, the operator created a library of the movements on the blockchain. So you have now an open source library of moves for choreography that everyone can use. And yesterday we mentioned the project by Hermine Bourdain, who she just made at the Opera in Paris using the method the operator created. And this is possible because it's recorded, the data are recorded on the blockchain, and it is accessible to everyone. So that's the part where they did use like the blockchain as a medium. They also did another very more conceptual project, which is probably even more evident the use of the blockchain as a medium, which is they basically like tokenize that marriage contract, as we have just seen for like Bitcoin weddings. And then basically like the collector of the marriage contract will, participate in the marriage itself, meaning that the collector can like every year in the day of the anniversary, operator will ask the collector to do something for them. And also like the collector can participate in some decision making, etc. So they're really like they're using the tool of the blockchain to experiment in what does it even mean to have like, what is a marital contract? What if there are other participants? How is it expiring? What happened if the marriage is over and we still have the contract on the back, etc. Here, it was more to create this library, which again, it's very important. One fun fact: so basically, like the way they started was to wear one of the two operator, Anya, who is the performer and the choreographer. She wore this motion capture suit and she created these moves for different choreographies. And then the moves were obviously transformed into code. And then by refining the moves, they created a library of 32 moves, of which one is improvisation, if I'm not wrong. So 31 plus 1 improv. And one very interesting fact is that when they went to record the moves on the blockchain, it's very expensive to record data on the blockchain. So as we know, for NFTs, there's no data on the blockchain. It's a hash that reminds to an image, which is stored in an archive. It can be like an IPFS, etc. So it's not on chain. The data are not on chain. So the moves, they wanted to put the moves on chain, the data of each of the moves on chain. And when they calculated how much money it would cost to put these moves on the blockchain, it was like around, I believe, $200,000. They had for each move. They call it the bones budget because they had to take out, for instance, like in a move where, I don't know, where like the head position is more prominent of the elbow position, they had to take out the elbow bone to record on the blockchain. So basically like they reduce each move to the most basic bones necessary for us to still understand, and for like the computer, the avatar, to still understand the move, so that they can record less data on the blockchain. So that was very interesting. Then how does it work? It works that, so the project starts with a human body, which is one of the most amazing tools that we have available. So moves, and then it becomes code. And then, so the human is obfuscated, like you don't see the human anymore, you see the code. And then they created, the project is generative, so it happened on our FLUX platform. They created material, so in order to create the visual artworks, they created materials with code. They didn't use 3D at all. The entire project is made with code. So the glass that you see is glass made with code. The light, the body, everything is made with code. And then obviously they created the algorithm that makes the moves, mixes the moves, mixes the materials, and mixes also the emotions of like different kind of, I believe 4 different emotion status on the same moves. For instance, if if they ask you to run from the chair to the table in front of you in a status where you are happy, the move will be different than if they ask you to move from the chair to the table when the status is you received a bad news. So they also recorded the moves in different status of like emotions. And so all of these different data were mixed by the algorithm and created 400 amazing outputs, which are the 400 artworks that collectors minted on the platform. And the project is not finished. It develops in 3 acts. So the first is that, okay, so human body and then code, and then I am a collector. I reveal my human are readable. So I have my artwork, and I will show you how they look like. You have your visual artwork, but then together with this token, with this NFT, you will receive an NFT attached to it that unveil the choreography that stands behind your visual artwork. So each visual artwork has a certain moves behind it. And then that was the second act. And then the third act, which will happen, I believe, next year, is to bring back to human. So the first 100 pieces that were minted, the first 100 collectors that will see the choreography that they own, because they do actually own a choreography of which the data are recorded on the blockchain, because we said that all the moves are on the blockchain. So you own a choreography, and so they will hire performers that will perform the different choreographies that the first 100 collectors have. So human obfuscated and going back to human and body. Why also another of the reasons which is the project is very special, it's because yes, it is made with code, but the main tool that was used is the human body and the movement. And so obviously the blend of these two creates something which is imperfect, not like necessarily artificial. And then another special thing about it is that that when you have these generative art projects, you have what we call the traits. So you have different traits, like, okay, like when the algorithm mixes data and it gives you the artwork that you mint, you have, I don't know, like the rare trait is blue eyes instead of like brown eyes. The rare trait is crazy hair instead of like straight hair. So based on the traits that you get randomly in the artwork that you get, you will have a more or less rare artwork. In human or readable, the most rare trait is vulnerability, which is very special. And I believe we understand why. How do you record the vulnerability? You record through the human body itself, through the moves, and through which moves you got in your choreography. And so the most precious and valuable artworks that were minted, human or readable, are the ones that they have the highest score of vulnerability. Okay, now I'm gonna show you the video and then we will go to the questions. The video is, I hope that we can watch. It's just a few minutes, but it's worth it.
Is a 3-act embodied generative artwork hiding the human body in plain sight, bringing together choreography, blockchain, generative art, and cryptography. The work culminates in a live performance. Journey of slowly recovering the human unfolds. Firstly, a reveal on art blocks. At the initial reveal, the human is still unreadable, visible only through the results of movement on glass, by code rendered as a still image. Secondly, covering the choreographic score. Collectors get a glimpse at the underlying choreography by unlocking the second token, which is an on-chain choreographic score. 400 unique visual outputs driven by the motion data of 400 unique choreographic sequences. The art blocks token and the secondary token are forever bound together. And finally, a physical performance. Life is breathed into the human movement that has been lying dormant inside the pieces. The first 100 minted pieces, mints number 2 to 101 in the collection, will be performed in real life premiere. With Ty's extensive background as an HCI technologist and multimedia artist, and Catherine's background as a choreographer and performance artist, Operator assembled a bespoke team of more than 25 individuals, ranging from specialized engineers to dancers, who embarked on a 9-month process to realize this work. operator's on-chain generative choreography method is the technical backbone of Human Unreadable, the process and open source tooling for which we made available via white paper in 2023. Human Unreadable makes code visceral. It brings vulnerability as a feature into long-form generative art. What you don't immediately see is the stored potential of performance, able to be brought to life by a dancer at any moment. Human Unreadable has roots in various histories, such as computational choreography, the work of Annalena Cordero and Jean B, Merce Cunningham's chance dance, and the experiments in art and technology movement from the 1960s. Human Unreadable intentionally punctures the safety of modernist design and the idea of a universal voice, pushing the limits of rigid technical systems as containers for human expression. With a focus on the body, the collection brings risk, chaos, confusion, and vulnerability to the reveal. The 6 distinct looks represent the core materials of Operator's privacy collection, including glass, light, X-ray, and the body. Though the final result looks organic, all elements were created with code and math. There are no rasterized images used in the creation of the work. The transparent and illuminating nature of these materials reveal what is below the surface. What are you revealing when you reveal? The installation presents the technical process in 3 ways. As prints, as a sample choreographic score, and as videos of 31 movements by the choreographers. Human Unreadable, Lot 03, Privacy Collection by Operator.
Okay. Because, oh, I see more people. I think that we have to wrap it up. But okay, yeah, before wrapping it up, that was my, I mean, I could go on with this forever. But I hope that you liked the different art projects that we have seen here. Do you have any questions or curiosity or something that you really liked? Or
Well, I have about Operator. Anya, it has a background in choreography. Does the other artists of the duo have a background in coding, or do they do the conceptualization and have someone do the coding for them? Or
Okay.
do they understand about coding?
So they do understand about code. Anya has a background in choreography, yes, and she's a performer. And Dija, she has a background in computer art, software,
Yeah.
etc. The code for Human Readable was developed by a developer who worked with them. So no, like the whole code and library and everything was developed by Isaac Hatt, who is a fantastic developer and a friend. They met and they did this together. It's not possible to, they're not coder at that level. So there is a third person who created and experimented with them for like almost a year.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Do you have any other curiosities or questions? Did you like the artworks that we have seen today? Like, is it something that is interesting to you?
Yeah, very interesting. Especially the Operator one, I love it.
That's very good.
But the moon one was super cool as well.
It's incredible.
Yeah,
It's incredible. No, I mean, these artists who use the blockchain as a medium are a few, but the projects are pretty incredible because they're very ahead. And I mean, the plantoids as well. It's just like, as we were talking about yesterday, like very early for what they're doing or they have been doing. Okay, if I'm a little like careful about the time, because I know that you have another webinar, otherwise we could but if you don't have any like direct question, or obviously you can always reach out to me if you want to know more about blockchain as a medium artist, etc. I will prepare a document with links, as we already said. But yeah, other than that, no, thank you for participating in the webinars. I think we concluded in, as we say in Italian, in beauty, with finally seeing some art for real, and not just discussing you know, what it is, the art, and what is like about, and what it is behind the art. So today we have seen some art, so I really cared about concluding with this. Oh, let me look at the comments still. Yeah, we have the workshop. Yes, okay. Operator works, it's complicated. I hope that I have explained in a more clear, because it took me kind of like a year to, you know, to explain better and better and better, because it was really becoming, they didn't even know how to explain it. So and okay, well, thank you everyone. I will conclude here, and I hope to see you for other things, projects, and if you guys organize the exhibition, and let me know if you will come to Paris. Bye. Thank you.